Hey crafters, this is Nye here. So today what we are going to do is we are going to assemble our 3D mini school locker. Now I'm going to be using my art glitter glue for all of my gluing. I also have my bone folder handy that I will use to help me define my score lines. And I also have my tweezers handy. We're going to want these today because we are going to have some of the smaller pieces here that we are going to need to work with. All right, now, as you can see, I have all of my pieces here cut out. A lot of my smaller pieces are off to this side here, and I have my larger pieces here. Now these three pieces that are larger, that are in the blue, are going to be the main frame of my locker. And then I've got like some decorative pieces here to just kind of make it pop a little. These decorative pieces here that are going to kind of define out what my locker are, these would be a really fun one if you wanted to use in patterned paper. It would look really cool against whatever solid color that you wanted to use for the base of your locker. All right, so here we are, let's get started. So what I'm going to do is, because I've got a lot of like the smaller pieces here, I want to be careful with them. And I also want to make sure that I don't lose too many of the really tiny pieces here on my table. So I'm going to put these off towards the side, but I'm going to glue some of these down first. So like these two little flowers here that I have to kind of decorate my locker. And these are just going to kind of represent like some stickers that you might put in your locker, or I don't know what they would let you use because you probably can't actually use stickers in the locker. But as you can see, all I did was I added a dab of glue there in the center, and then I'm just using my push pin to add the dot to the flower right on top. Now I'm going to do the same thing here with my padlock piece. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use my tweezers, and I'm just going to add a little bit of glue around the edges here. And then I'm going to hold this second one. And if you want, you could grab a second pair of tweezers and just kind of hold that one in your hand. And I'm just going to hold this one here and just line this up so that way it sits right on top and glues down. And there we go. And so this lock piece here that kind of represents the combination lock that you always used to have on lockers is 3 different pieces. And you do kind of want to just make sure that you glue this down because you don't want to lose it, because there's these pieces are kind of small and they might have actually been a little difficult to cut. I was still able to cut them with the regular cardstock setting, but they might have posed a little bit of a tricky thing for you there. Okay, so I've got that piece there. I'm going to also do these 2 pieces right here where you can see the slot right in the center. And this just kind of represents the little housing for where the combination lock usually sits in a locker. And what I'm going to do is when I place this down, I'm going to make sure that the slots in the center line up. And that's going to be super important when we get towards the end. You want to make sure that that slot is visible, and so something could fit right through, okay? Because that's how we're going to kind of seal up our locker towards the end. So I've got most of those done, and so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push some of these larger pieces, these 3 ones that could be cut in my pattern cardstock, off to the side, and I'm going to work with these pieces here. Okay, so you can see that these 3 pieces, they all have score lines. And so what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are now folding right on those score lines. And this is where you're definitely going to want to make sure you have your bone folder. And if you don't have a bone folder, you could use a ruler. Or you could use like your vinyl scraper. You want to make sure that you have one today because we really want these score lines to be defined. So I'm going to use my ruler here so you can see, and I'm just going to press all the way across. You want all of these score lines today to be crisp and sharp, okay? This is going to be one where we just definitely want that because we've got a lot of angles here, okay? So I just went back with my bone folder on with that one. I'm going to do the same thing here with this smaller one. And again, you want all of these score lines, and there's a lot of them here for us today with these 3 pieces because we're just kind of really making those shapes here. So I'm just going to keep working my way around, and let me move this because I've got a little bit of a shadow. We've got a rainy day here today, so I don't have any natural light coming through. And so I've got lots of shadows really in my craft space today. Okay, so what I'm going to do though is I'm going to go through and I'm going to speed up the video here for this part, because all I'm going to do is I'm going to just make sure that I'm getting all of these score lines, and I'm taking the time to make sure that they are all really crisp. Okay, so I'm going to speed up the video as I do this, and then I'll slow it back down before we glue anything together. Okay, so we've got the 3 pieces done, and I actually have one more here on my lighter color piece, and these are just these 2 little tabs right here that I can just fold with my hand. I just decided I'm going to do this really quick too, and again, you can see I'm really using my bone folder here just to make sure that I get those perfectly scored. Okay, so we're good with that. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take this smaller one, and we are going to now glue this together to just kind of create a completely closed box here. And so I'm going to add glue to the 2 tabs here along the sides, and then I'm going to use my fingers here and just kind of make sure that I am allowing these 2 tabs to adhere to the sides, so that way I can hold the shape. And I'm going to hold this one right here between my fingers, so that way I'm giving the glue a chance to dry while I add the glue to the opposite side. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to push this one out there just a little, and I got glue on my fingers, so I'm just going to add that right there. And then I'm just going to hold this and just give it a chance to dry, because I want to make sure that this box is really kind of like supported here. And I want to make sure that all of the glue dries, so that way it doesn't come up at all, or the box doesn't unfold at all. So I'm going to put this one on top there, and then I'm going to go through and I'm going to add glue to these 3 tabs that are remaining, and then I'm going to press this down and allow the box to form here. And I just got my finger in the glue. I'm going to press this one there on the inside. And then if you need to, you can just place the box down on your table and then just kind of press it down, so that way it forms and it stays. Okay, I just wanted to check it, so I lifted it back up, and then I'm going to press it back down again. I'm just going to hold it here for a second, and then my hands are giving a little bit of pressure here onto the paper to make sure that it stays down. All right, and so that looks good. And again, I'm just double checking it there, and that's great. Okay, so I'm going to put this one off to the side for a moment, and now we're going to work with this piece here. And so this piece is what's really going to form our locker. And so what we're going to do is we're going to now see how it's going to take shape. And so you can see how it will take shape right here, just like this. And that would be the top, and then this will be the bottom. And so again, what we're going to do is I'm going to take my glue, and I'm going to add glue to these 2 tiny tabs right here. And I'm going to make sure that it bonds to this side piece as well, or this tab, I should say. And I'm just going to kind of hold it here for a moment and give it a chance to dry as well. Then I'm going to add glue now to these 2 side tabs. And then again, I'm going to press these down and give them a chance to bond and dry as well. Okay, so you can see how it's already taking shape right there. You can see the formation of like the box and how it's going to look. And then I'm just holding this here to give it a chance to dry. And now we're also going to do the same thing to the opposite side, or to the bottom. So again, just adding glue here to these 2 tabs. And then I'm making sure that they are adhering to this side piece tab right here. And once I've got it there, I'm going to take that, press these in just a moment, and then I'm going to add glue now to those side pieces, and then press these down into the center as well there. And then again, just hold these and make sure that they have a chance to dry as well. Okay, and I'm also gonna hold this, and while I'm holding these here and I'm making sure that they are drying, I'm also making sure that it is creating like that flush 90-degree angle. That's why it was so important for us to make sure that we were using our bone folder and just making sure that everything was kind of, those score lines were really sharp there. Okay, so now that we have this here, you can see the shape of it already. And so I'm just gonna lift this up for just a little bit, not too much, but all I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna come back in here and I'm gonna add glue to this tab. And you can see this one kind of pulled away a little, so I'm gonna add a little bit of glue there too. I'm gonna add a little bit of glue to those two sides. And then I'm going to just come back in here and I'm just gonna press everything down once more to make sure that it's bonding and it's adhering. Okay, and so now what we want to do is we want to get our smaller piece to here, and we're going to place this down here on the inside. And if you want, you could have added the glue. You could have glued this in here before you started, but it's okay if you don't. I just want to make sure that goes there. And this one didn't really go glue completely, so I'm going to leave it open here so that way you guys can see this a little bit more. What I'm going to do though is I'm just going to add glue to 3 of these sides. So the side here, this side here, and then this side here. And this is just going to create like that shelf that we see in lockers. It's it's really up to you how far up or how far down you want to put it. But what you do want to do is just kind of wherever you do put it, you want to make sure that you're pressing on the sides and that you're also pressing down here so that way it bonds. All right, so I'm gonna now add glue to these 3 parts here. So glue here, and then glue here. And then I'm just going to come back and I'm just going to press this down. And again, I'm just going to hold this here for a moment to make sure that the glue is bonding. You can also press here on the inside to add some pressure from behind, so that way, again, the glue is drying. All right, so that looks really good. You can see it right there. And so the next thing that we're going to do is we're now going to take our 3rd piece, which is going to be our cover, and we're also going to take our side piece here, and we're going to fish the 2 tabs that are part of this side piece through the slots that are here on this piece. And so you're going to notice that this is going to be a little bit challenging to do because the slots are not very wide for the tabs to go through, but they will slide through here. So you can see that I'm pulling from the opposite side as well as from the top there, and I'm just pushing it down until it's all completely flush. And so you can see it right there. See how the tabs are popping through on that side. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to lift this up on this end, and I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to add glue to this back side of the paper. And then I'm going to press this down. And in doing so, you'll also notice that the slot here in the center also lines up perfectly, so that way we can see through, okay? Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to now take these 2 slots here and this main slot here, and we're going to fish these through the opening again right there. And so you can see how everything just kind of lines up, right? Let me try it one more time so you can see it. Watch first, I should say then. And then you just want to fish all of these right through, and you can see how they just line up perfectly right there. This part goes right through into the front. And now we are left with our locker like this, okay? And so the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna open up this backside here, and then we're gonna go through and we're just gonna add some glue to this backside, okay? And then we're just going to press this down right there, okay? And you can see how everything just kind of seals up very nice there. Now we're going to hold it on its side here, and we are going to come back and we are going to add some glue to this side piece. And then we're going to press this down so that way the edge kind of lines up right there, and also so that there's a little bit of a border, okay? So you can see how it fits right there. Then we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Again, just adding that glue, and then pressing it down. Okay, so now what we're left with are all of our decorative pieces. And this is where you can open it up and you can add some pieces right here to the inside. I've got some glue. I'm just gonna wipe that there. You can add some decorative pieces here on the inside of your locker. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add these sunglasses here, these black sunglasses. And you want to make sure that you save some for the outside and for the inside. I'm going to take one of the flowers and add them here. And I'm going to take this wording. I'm going to use my tweezers for this. And so with this wording, you want to be a little careful because it's mainly connected a lot right here at the Z. It puts a lot of pressure there onto the wording. So just be careful in how you're adding the glue and using this one. And for this, I'm just kind of dabbing glue. I'm not really pressing any out of the bottle here. I'm just dabbing it to allow it to adhere. And I'm going to place this one here on the side, and that looks really good. And let's see, that would be a lot of decor for the outside. So let's add some more. Let's add the stars here too on the inside. Let's place a star here on the center. And let's place one inside here again on the side. So lockers are always such a fun thing for school because you get them and then they're yours and you get to decorate them and you just get to really have a lot of fun. Okay, so we're gonna leave that there. And so now you can also choose to fill this here on the inside. It's really up to you. And then we're, again, just gonna go through and we are going to close this up. And when you go to close this up, this time, it's gonna be a little bit trickier because it's not going to be like the first time that it's going through anymore. And so what you want to do is, I'm just going to bend this one there and just kind of straighten it out. I'm going to fish this center one through first. And there it goes. As I've got it started, I'm then going to come back here and just kind of make sure that my two tabs fish all the way through, okay? And so you can see how it will seal up again. And then I'm just gonna use my hand to just kind of pull this center piece through. And there you go. Then I can take my, kind of like, remember what I said, this is like the inside part of the locker. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to add some glue now, just a little bit more to this side here, over here, and then just a little bit around, so that way it kind of creates that locker look. You don't want to add it all the way through because you want to make sure that it's not gluing on any part over, so that way it would block the opening. And then I'm going to take the lock and I'm going to fish it right through the little hole there. And so you can see this locker is unlocked, and that's okay. And now I'm going to take the rest of my wording and I'm just going to kind of decorate it. So I'm going to add the Be Kind here. And I might actually have made too many little pieces here for this locker. There might not be enough room to add all of them, but maybe I'll add a piece on the side too. So I'm going to put that one there. I'm going to put the flower maybe like right down here. And I think I'm gonna put the heart maybe right here. That looks good. And then, so I've got my last little heart flower pot. And I think what I might do is, I might go and just place this right here on the side. Because, well, yeah, I think I'm gonna place it on the side. I probably should make something else extra for the other side, but I think that there's enough. You guys can kind of space it out how you want and place these down how you want. Okay, so I'm gonna place this one off to the side here. And that finishes our very cool, kind of like back to school mini locker craft. So I hope you guys enjoyed making one for yourself. Please be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and happy crafting. Thanks for watching. Bye.